Hey everyone, welcome to It Tastes Different Gaming Appetizers. And what are we talking about this time? Well, we saw the PlayStation go up in price, and now it looks like the Xbox may be headed that way. Not yet, but Phil Spencer did say that the hardware and subscription prices will rise at some point, but not this holiday. So if you want to get your Xboxes and your 200 years of Game Pass, you better do it now before the prices go up. So basically, as reported by The Verge's Tom Warren on Twitter, during the Wall Street Journal's live event, the Xbox boss, Phil Spencer, said that Microsoft won't be able to hold off the price of increase on its products forever. He said, basically, I do think at some point we'll have to raise the price on certain things, but going into this holiday, we thought it was really important to maintain the prices. We held price for our console. We've held price on games and our subscription. I don't think we'll be able to do that forever. I do think at some point we'll have to raise the price on certain things. So currently there are no plans to raise the prices, but we saw, Sony do that in other markets, not in the US. And Microsoft may be going that route later on where they raise prices, maybe next year or something like that. And, curious to know if they'll raise the prices here in the US or if they'll kind of follow suit with Sony and raise prices elsewhere, but keep the US prices the same. It's hard to say. I think basically they shouldn't, neither Sony or Microsoft should be raising prices. Things are already expensive enough as they are, and none of us get paid enough for anything. So the fact that prices should go up for whatever reason, especially when your company, be it Microsoft or Sony or whoever else, has been making record profits, I don't see the reason why your prices need to go up. But that's just me. Let's go around and see what everybody else thinks. Pat, what do you think of Microsoft raising prices potentially in the future?
The day of the $70 video game on the average is upon us. We already see Sony and we always see the front runners, the money hungry largest of them like EA and Sony doing it right out of the gate as quickly as they can. And some of the others outliers just hanging out waiting to do this. I understand, but I don't like it. Right? I understand Microsoft's position, but I don't like it. I understand that Microsoft is not beholden to me and you and the other consumers. They're beholden to their shareholders. And their shareholders expect a certain amount of increase of revenue every year. So whatever that is, whether it's 7%, 9%, whatever it is that they think they're going to get, and they report to Wall Street. And if they don't hit it, what they report to their investors and they don't hit it, hurts their bottom line. I mean, Microsoft talking about raising prices scares shareholders, then the stock went down. It's going to happen. Anytime you talk about something that has a potential to reduce consumer satisfaction or consumer stability is going to hurt your company. If you do something like that, it really hurts because there's going to be, it's a temporary drop, right? Though anything like this is just going to be a temporary drop until people's brains go through the rinse cycle and they forget what you talked about a week ago or a month ago or whatever, and stock goes back up. But I don't like it. I don't want to see a $70 game be the average and the norm, because what that means is that basically everything is going up by $10. That game that's normally $30 is going to be $40. That $40 game is going to be $50, and so on and so forth. That collector's edition that used to be $80 is going to be $90 or $100 or $110 or whatever. But it's the inevitable march of where everything's going. Inflation is crazy this year. I'm a little bit surprised Microsoft didn't jump on board before the end of the year, but they said they would hold off. There was no plans, is basically what it said. There is no plans to increase the price of the X or the S right now. And, there is no plans to increase the subscription. We're still waiting for a family plan over here in the US. So there may be the saving grace for us to keep that subscription plan going. But I also see that as kind of a bad thing for Microsoft too, because Microsoft's going to lose money when they roll out the family plan in the US, because, we're going to we're going to get on our family plan and they're going to lose money, so it's a hard thing to hear, but I think we all know it's inevitable. Still doesn't mean that I want to accept it and I'm going to like it. I want to play my video games. I don't want to pay even more for them. Because now we hit the $70 mark. Before I die, am I going to see $100 video game average, or something like that, which is, in things like that. So I'm not really looking forward to that. Part of this could be too, because I think I had read the other day that Microsoft missed their quota or desired outcome for Game Pass subscriptions for this quarter and this year. So they're not quite up to where they thought they would be by this time. So that's probably hurting them a little bit. I'm pretty sure it's hurting their basically valuated revenue that they basically were expecting to get to. So they are basically missing out on revenue because they told their shareholders we expect to be at X number of subscribers and we haven't hit that number yet. And I don't know how Family Plan is going to help them get there. I don't know. Maybe they'll get more people on board to play or something. I don't know. I honestly see that as hurting them more than helping them because it gives people like us a discount on what we're paying right now. But that's just me. What about you, Shane? What do you think about Phil Spencer and his talking about raising prices? I never want to hear raising prices, but.
Well, I like Phil. I like what he's done with the company, but he could take that statement and shove it up his butthole. Companies still making record profits. All these companies are making record profits. So they can suck it up. I know, I understand the whole shareholder thing. They're beholden to them. They don't, care about the consumer as much as they do the bottom line of the shareholders. That's understandable. It's wrong, but it's understandable. And granted, this is my opinion, but if a company is making record profits, then they don't need to be raising prices.
But it's record profits of the company. Microsoft is not just Xbox gaming.
I know.
Microsoft is like multiple divisions.
Microsoft as a company, as a whole, is making record profits. Sony's making record profits. Oil companies making record profits. Everybody's raising their prices. They're price gouging us. I find it a load of crap myself. I understand prices do have to go up because that's just life. You want to make $15 at McDonald's? Well, the price of burgers go up. You want to make $20 at McDonald's? The price of burgers go up more. It's the same way with any industry. But when you're making record money as a company as a whole, now the Xbox division's still making money. Now, granted, they didn't hit their goal. They didn't sell enough Girl Scout cookies to hit that goal. I understand that. I do. That's just the way the world works. But come on, where is the limit of profit over people? Now, you can call it socialism, whatever you want, but I think you got to have a limit. I think $70 games is a load of crap when companies are making, more money now than they were 5-10 years ago. Granted, things cost more, but they're only costing more because everybody's raising their prices on everything. So, I don't know. It might just be because I'm very cynical about most corporations anymore, especially the way the world's going right now. But I don't like it. I understand it, just like you said. I do understand it. It's not the best thing, but when you are making so much money, there's got to be a limit to it. There's got to be a point where you say, you know what, we can't keep gouging our client base. That's just, to me, it's just a moral thing. I put moral.
Well, you have to look at it as a business unit. Xbox itself may not be making as much money as we think it is in the division, because I'm pretty sure I saw an article the other day about their cloud gaming and their gaming division missed revenue and was under by under by 0.6% instead of being over, which means that if you're a business holder and you're looking at my non-profitable piece that are dragging me down, I'm going to cut, it's not saying that's the way they're going to do it, but you're going to cut your fat. You're going to be like, that company's not, that portion of the company's not making me money. So I need to trim it down so that my my money, I keep getting more. My operating income keeps going up. My revenue is going up at a rate that's equivalent. It's a tough place to be in for Microsoft, but maybe the gaming division isn't doing. I heard their hardware sales were up, but that was about the only thing in the Xbox gaming division that was up.
Yeah, and no, I mean, I understand those situations. I don't know the full situation. I do know that the company as a whole is unbelievably rich, and they're making more and more money. And a lot of these companies are. And like I said, it might just be because I'm burnt by all of the price gouging that goes on anymore. And, I'm very cynical about that stuff. And that is on a personal thing. So I don't really want to equate it to what Microsoft's doing, because I don't believe Phil Spencer really would want to do it because of the projection of the trajectory that he's been taking Microsoft as trying to appear, and I'm saying appear, more customer friendly. Because the alternative is the competitors who are not customer friendly at all. They're anti-consumer. So, it's trying to be understandable, but it's also aggravating and angering at the same time. I mean, $70 for a game, 4 games, you could buy, you could almost buy 5 games. You could buy a console. I mean, how many games does this group buy a month? We spend too much.
I don't want to say.
And not to call Nick out, but he doubles down. I mean, he sold a testicle.
He two-fists those games. He two-fists those games.
I don't know. Not every game.
Yeah, not every
dipping
game,
on everything.
But the point is we do have to stop at a point and realize where profit should stop, and at what cost are you allowed to continue. So that's, like I said, that's just me. That's that's my social feelings as well as my gamer feelings. So what about you, Nick? I better quit ranting.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. Ultimately, it is what it is, right? For Phil Spencer, he's he's definitely not making the decision for that, right? Even though Phil Spencer is the boss of the Xbox division, he has a boss, right? And his boss has a boss, and his boss has a boss, and then that boss says, "You're raising the prices," and it trickles down to him, and he goes, "Well, I guess that's what's going to happen," right? So he has really no say in that. He's just kind of the messenger out there, and kind of gets all the flack because he's the face of Xbox, right? It's inevitable, right? I think when we were talking about Sony raising prices in other regions, I think we mentioned or talked about how others probably aren't far behind, right? And that it's not that it's surprising that we hadn't seen Microsoft or Nintendo or whoever follow suit, and it's just a matter of time, right? And it does suck, it sucks for the consumer. I mean, all of the $70 games and stuff suck for the consumer. I mean, most of the $70 games that come out nowadays aren't. They're just as good as the $60 games, right? As far as a consumer's standpoint, right? You pay $70 for Madden 2022, and it's the same crappy Madden that you've been playing every year before that, right? So that $10 bump did nothing but take $10 out of your wallet. That's all it did. They still made another crappy game. Like, there hasn't been this jump in, when you think about paying more for something, you think of as a consumer, you think of a premium product, right? You pay more for it, it's a premium product. But you've got to realize that that's most of the time, not all the time, but most of the time, that's not really the case, especially when it comes to video games, right? They're increasing them by $10, and it's not every game right now is $70, but a lot of the big contenders, Activision, EA, Sony, all their games are $70. So, and why are they $70? Because they could, right? Because they could increase the price and get away with it. And it's just like when they increased it to $60, we all hated that at the time. And DLC and all this other stuff, that microtransactions and all these things. But like Pat said, once everyone gets reset and their brains washed over and they just accept it. And then it becomes the norm. And then when they come out with the $80 game, you're like, what the hell? Well, yeah, this would be the third time we've done that, right? And every time the same thing happens. They come out, we scream and shout about it, but then at the end of the day, it still ends up happening and we're still screwed. So even though it sucks, and I understand shareholders and all that crap, but I just don't, and I'm sure we're all in agreement. We don't like the way that works, because that way that works is, like Pat said, they're beholden to the shareholder and not to the consumer. So they don't give a crap if they screw the consumer over, as long as the shareholder gets their piece of the pie. That's all that really matters. So,
right. As long as they screw over the consumer just enough to keep them still on the hook, right? You could screw them over enough to where the consumer lets go of the bait and they lose us. That would be them, there's the line, right? What is the line where you increase your product cost so much that you lose more than what you've gained by the increase, right? And
bend them, don't break them.
Right. And that's exactly what they're doing. They're like, how far can they bend before they break? And just like everything, they are making profit. And I am not arguing that Microsoft makes record profits, but Microsoft is more than Xbox. They do talk a little bit in earnings calls about where Xbox is on hardware and software services and things like that. But, where is Xbox in that whole division on what Microsoft brings in? There's probably numbers out there, and I haven't looked them up or at them, but what percentage of Microsoft's revenue is Xbox? What percentage of Xbox's revenue is Microsoft's, profits and stuff like that? Or revenue, I should say revenue, because that's how everything is, revenue, and things like that. So I try not to get too butthurt, but it still does. It still hurts. I don't want to spend $70 for a damn game when it is what it is. But I don't necessarily know if I buy into the premium thing that Nick says. I mean, a premium would be if everybody is at 60 and you're putting your price at 90 or 80 or 70. Like you said, if your product is 70 when everybody else is 60, that's a premium. And to some extent, I will say that Sony makes premium games. I mean, compared to some of the other stuff that's $60 out there, I will say that Sony does make premium games and their studios makes premium games. Now, I don't think EA makes premium games, to warrant the $70. And I don't think that everything that the Sony or Sony's first party studios make is premium, but they do make some damn good games. I cannot put a AAA Sony, Microsoft studio, a Sony or Xbox studio against an indie developer, because it's not fair. Indie developers are usually coming up with something that nobody else has done, or they're coming up with a nice little niche thing in their market that is just cool and awesome to play. Like, think of the guy who did Phasmophobia. One freaking guy made this game that's like, this is a really interesting concept on a group ghost hunting game. Unique. I dare say unique, because there was nothing else out there that I had played. And there might be something out there that's, a little more obscure than what I played, but that guy garnered, what he did by himself, but his game wasn't a $60 game neither. Like, I wouldn't have paid $60 for that game. But I did pay for it, because I wanted to play it and it looks like a good game. But in my opinion, can you charge $70 for that game? No, I wouldn't pay it. Nick might be the only one here who might pay that, but he's played that game a lot more than Shane and I have. Shane, would you pay $70 or $60 for Phasmophobia?
No, but I can say this much. The price that he charged was a premium
it was negligible.
Price.
Wasn't it $30?
It was a premium price for a premium game.
It was $15. I think.
15, yeah.
I think when we picked it up, it was on sale, if I remember right.
That's not a premium price for a premium.
No, it's a premium price because you are getting quality for the money you pay. That to me is a premium. When I pay, like Nick said, if I pay $60 for this game last year, I pay $70 for the same title this year. New number on it, same damn game. that is not a premium price. That is not a premium game. That's my mindset. The quality versus the cost. That's where I see a premium. The one game that really surprised me last year that we played, God dang it, the anime one with the girls, the psychological Doki Doki, quality game because I paid for what I paid. I got an amazing experience out of it. That to me is premium. Now, Nick's or your versions of premium might be I could pay $1 for 12 slices of this cheese. It tastes like the same as the wrapper it comes in, or I can buy the Velveeta for $8 and get the same amount of slices. That's some people's way of seeing it.
I mean, premium is basically that's all good. Premium is basically the price versus the service that you get. And in my opinion, if you take a game of similar genre and similar quality, that's not a premium game for a premium price. In my opinion, it was priced. I would have paid $30 for that game.
Yes.
I think it was underpriced to some extent if you got it for 15, but it's early access, right? When it comes out fully fleshed out, is he going to get a newer base of players, maybe? And I hope he does, because that's a damn good game. And if you haven't played Phasmophobia and you got a group of friends, you can go ghost hunting with him. It's a great game. I think he's undervalued if it's $15 still. He probably needs to bump it up to 20 with the popularity and all the work that he's put into it. And I think he's hired on some staff. The last I'd heard, got some additional people. So, but yes, I mean, you can't compare an indie, majority. I will say majority indies to a AAA title, because they just don't build AAA highly marketed games. Like they're not going out to EA or Square Enix or Microsoft or Sony and having them publish their game for them. They're not getting all the internet. They're not getting all the hype from all that publishing. Their hype is coming from people played the game and then they're talking about it. And, and that's their word of mouth, and that's how they get out. And that's how you get these small indie developers that are just blowing up because they make something that's so unique and so awesome that it has to be picked up. Think of like Mojang, think of all these other, Among Us developers and people like that. And they never thought what they were making was going to be like the next thing. Maybe some of them did, the next best thing to sliced bread, but I can't compare something being developed by the Phasmophobia developers, something being developed by Sony. Like there's no comparison. They don't have the money. They don't have the revenue. They're not able to put something out to that level, in my opinion. Now, Sony puts out some shit. Microsoft puts out some shit. EA puts out mostly shit. There is comparison in that. So let's take the shittiest game that Sony makes, the shittiest game that EA makes, and the shittiest game that Microsoft makes, or Sony, or Xbox, excuse me, and one of these indie developers that is amazing. Yeah, they're competing at that level, but you're taking the crap versus the cream.
Yeah, that reminds me, I'm not drinking your coffee. I mean, the worst thing about this is the fact that when Sony announced that they were raising their console prices and game sales prices, Microsoft's like, we're not going to do that. We don't think it's the right time for something like that. But at least they are admitting that they're going to have to. I think it was a good idea just to test the waters to see the reactions. If the reactions are fairly mellow, slightly on the anger side, they might announce they're raising them right at the first of the year. If they find pure anger, they'll wait for as long as they can before they do it, or they might even do it slowly. Like, so the Game Pass is going to go up $2. Our consoles or controllers. I don't think they'll raise consoles first. I think consoles will probably be the last thing they want to raise, but they'll probably raise controllers, peripherals, games, stuff like that first.
So here's a question. Do you guys think that Sony and Microsoft really are losing money on console sales like they say they are?
No, not at all.
You don't think so?
I think the pandemic boosted their crap so high up that
boosted what crap, though?
Their sales.
But
Because
if you're selling a console at a loss, if you're selling a console, I'm asking about the hardware. I don't give a shit about. Do you think that Sony and Microsoft are selling the Xbox and the PlayStation at a loss or at a break-even number?
I think a break-even number. I don't see Sony selling at a loss this generation. I really don't. Microsoft maybe, but I don't know enough about tech to say, well, this is this much, this is this much. I don't have enough understanding of all that. So,
Nick, what do you think? Do you think that they're actually selling at a loss for consoles this release?
For a console? Yeah, I think so. Yeah, they're probably selling at a loss.
I would think so too, and the only reason I say that is because on Microsoft's side, they're trying to build their Game Pass ecosystem, and they're wanting to get more. On Sony, I don't really see. The only reason I think Sony is at a loss is because they're trying to make sure that they're not outpriced by Xbox. Right? If Xbox is $500, we can't be over $500 because they're going to sell more consoles than we are. So part of me believes that Sony is at a loss, and this increasing of $100 is trying to self-correct. And if it succeeds, you know what that means for next generation of consoles? That's the end of selling a console at a loss or break even, because they know they can do it. How I feel about that, I don't know. I mean, you have to get it. You have to get people in the door, and if it's too expensive, and honestly, I can't tell you what's too expensive for me. I'm not faced with $1,000 console. Would I buy $1,000 console? I don't know. I don't think so, but I have something that sits in my pocket that's $1,200. This is $1,000 to $1,200.
That's not what I thought. Okay.
I mean, this is $1,000 to $1,200. $1,000 to $1,200. Yep. Excuse me. The only reason that this doesn't seem that bad is because you pay for it month by month. If Sony and Microsoft started selling their consoles for $1,000 and it came at a monthly subscription plan price, I probably would do it. But if my only option was to spend $1,000 at the time to buy it, I wouldn't buy it, because I don't make phone calls on this damn thing. I don't, because I don't use a phone. I use a phone just like every other idiot out there. I don't make phone calls on it. I text on it, and I don't need a damn phone to do that. If I want it portable, I do need that, but I can text from my computer to anywhere else that I need to. So
Pat needs a pager
to text, $1,000 to text my friends or message my friends, because I don't send that many texts neither. I send mostly messenger messages to my friends,
and mostly dirty pics too, and jokey pics and funny things. Yeah. That's what we. That's what we do.
We all spend $1,000 to send each other memes multiple times a day.
Yep.
What kind of suckers are we? But we're complaining. And I'm not saying that I agree with any of this or that I think it should happen, but we're complaining about a $100 price increase on a console or a $10 price increase on a game. But we're more than willing to spend $1,000 that has to be paid off in a year to 2 years on one of these.
Okay.
Because every one of us has one of these phones that's less than a couple of years old.
I would never pay that much for a phone. My wife did. And that's not even a joke. I would be using... No. You know why? Because I use my phone for 3 things primarily: texting you goobers, watching videos, or watching or taking pictures. That's it.
You forgot. So you use your phone for 4 things: for pooping too.
Oh, that's you're right. That's just my pooping device. Me personally, I would my phone before this one. This is the S Tab, whatever, the new one. I love the phone. I do. But honestly, I liked my last phone, which was almost half the price, probably less than half. I loved it just as much. The only thing I didn't like about it comparatively is this one's just a little bigger. That's it. I'm not that big into the phones. Shut up.
None of us are that big into phones, but you're not buying a brand new phone anymore for under $800. You could buy a phone. You can buy a phone that has no features.
The OnePlus how much is the $600. $600
okay.
Is when I bought my last one.
$600 for a phone. That's $100 more than what you bought your Xbox for. And
I can't take the Xbox to the bathroom.
You can. You just got a monitor sitting on the tub and you control it. But that's what I'm saying. Is all I'm trying to make a point is that, you know, I think that they are losing money to some extent just to try to build their ecosystems and stuff like that. Because Sony is competing with Microsoft and Microsoft's trying to build an ecosystem, you know, at this point. That's just my opinion. But this topic can probably go on for an hour if we let it. So it's probably about time to kill this one before we all start going off the deep end.
Yeah, let's wrap this up. Let's finish this out. All right. Well, it was a long discussion. Let us know down in the comments below. What do you think? You know, give us your thoughts on the price increases and the, you know, coming from Microsoft and from Sony, and, you know, who's next, right? Nintendo going to follow suit with theirs. I don't know. I don't see it, but, you know, they could. Who knows? You know, or whoever else, right? Price increases are happening everywhere. So just let us know in the comments down below what you think of it. Make sure to like the video. Make sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notifications to stay up to date with new videos that we do all the time. We'll see you next time.
See ya.